What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Black Desert video. So today we're going to be talking about the whole guild fame that was introduced in today's patch, why it's important, and what it actually does. So I know for some people it's probably confusing, or you're not in a endgame PvP guild where they're getting the points a lot faster. So I just wanted to talk about some things you guys can do. And basically, this is how it works. You see a guild fame over here, right? And then when you click all there's two buttons, usage history and benefits and penalties. So basically it tells you how to obtain it. I think I'm going to talk about this for, your average guild, not like a specialized, whether you're a PvP or a life skill guild. I think some of the things that I think everyone should do. So every day, like those phone games and mobile games where people are just like, here, get a login reward just for logging in. That's 50 points. It encourages people in your guild to, actually log in, which I think is, pretty normal if you're playing a game. Guild League, I feel like this one should give more because this one is a limited time event where it's usually 1 or 2 weeks, depending on what Pearl Abyss decides they want to do. So participation in this one, this is a PvP thing, like an event where it's just like, 10v10 against other guilds. It's actually pretty fun if you've never done it before. And I just feel like just because this isn't a permanent thing, it should reward more points, more than 500. I would say maybe per win, keep it with like 1,000 or 2,000 points. And it encourages, PvP guilds to actually participate in the limited event. Guild missions complete. We're going to be talking about this a little bit more. So you know how when you just do a guild mission, it doesn't matter what quality, you just do it and then you get 1,000 points. I think this is where a majority of guilds are going to be getting their, points from. Now, here's where I have, some criticisms and, things that I would give as constructive feedback. So there's obviously PvP modes that they want people to do, right? So when it's blue battlefield, I think they should give people participation or victory or defeat in a way. Like obviously if you win a node, you get max points or whatever. If you participate and get the rewards, like let's say, this one, how we have a blue battlefield buff, like participation rewards and then victory. Obviously victory should be more, participation should be less, but to get more points, it would encourage more guilds to actually, participate. And then they have tier 1 and tier 2 wars. They have sieges and tier 2, 1, 2 conquest, node wars. Unlimited node war, I assume, just means like tier 3, 4, and all of the other stuff, just more than one. So basically all of these are, node wars, sieges, PvP, and, I still think they should have participation as well as victory. Obviously the points are fine, but I think maybe get half of it if you just participate and you don't do it like anything, or you just lose. But you should still keep the minimum requirements for how you get rewarded for participating, but you have to have your guild has a set number of kills, deaths, or like fort takedowns if you're playing construction or occupation kind of thing. So I think minimum standards, just so people don't place their fort and then leave, is good, but they should have participation. Guild bosses. So this one is the PvE side of it. I think it should reward a little bit more and be competitive with, probably, something higher because it's once a week, right? So, I mean, it's not like people are getting too much out of it. It's a once a week activity. So 10,000, assuming times 5 or 7, depending on how you guys do it. And we'll talk about how you get over 5 in a bit. But War of the Roses is a once every 2 week event where basically, if you don't know how it works, there's you can just type War of the Roses. It tells you if you're in the leading guild, which is basically a top siege guild, you're auto in essentially. Apply for 3rd Legion is essentially the best way to describe it is merking into one of the top 2 guilds and you get it. So I'm not 100% sure if 3rd Legion will get it, depending on if you're on the victorious side or not, or is it just like leading guilds get the credit every 2 weeks. But either way, it is a big amount of points. It's pretty fun if you've never done War of the Roses. I wish it was more than, once every 2 weeks, but, you still get participation rewards for, all this stuff as well. This is especially good for all of you who are going for your Voltarian horse, which I made a video talking about that entirely, so if you care to watch it, cool. But, it's always profit, and whether you win or lose, it's just a fun experience to do, so I'd recommend doing it. So yeah, then you get your total points over here. That's how you get everything. And the way it works, like after you get all your points, your guild has a total, right? And then as you get more points, you get more benefits. And I believe this just, stacks up over time. And that's pretty good. So with that said, the ideal one is over 900,000, unlock everything. The ones that I think are important, talking about this, obviously, bonus guild daily pay, how everyone gets 5 mil, getting more of that. Daily missions allows you to ramp up your total points even higher, which I think is actually good. So you know how we get 10 missions every day, you have a total of 30, and then you get 10 more every day, so if you get max of them, you'd get 20 every day, which is actually really nice. And then what else do we have here? Like extra bonus daily pay up to 1,000%, I believe. So instead of 5 mil contracts, you get up to a 50 mil every day. That's really nice. It's not a lot in 2026, but it's just a nice little paycheck every day. And then skills that get buffed. I'll show you guys that, like the extra, what are these things? Guild skills. They get buffed even further, so it's definitely worth doing it. Extra missions to do, and extra skills, which you could probably look at over here. Where is it? Guild skills. You see how it does all these. Once you get more points, you get these unlocked, which is extra nice. One thing, they have 2 of these that I don't think are super worth. The bell, depending on how, I feel like more PvP guilds are going to use this instead. The extra CTG, kind of irrelevant. A lot of people have compasses nowadays, and I believe you can still use the regular one, but this is like a second one, essentially. Ideally, what people want is just, the bonus buffs that get boosted, and the extra AP against monsters for people who aren't hard capped, or just in general, it's pretty good for everyone. So it's definitely worth doing. So yeah, you do that, and then you can see everything else and the uses of what you can do with your points, assuming you go over the cap. So guild maintenance, all the stuff. I believe this just means you can do 1 extra, I believe. Guild maintenance. And then the bell, which skill we just saw, an additional guild boss. You know how we talked about it's the 5 different ones a week. You could do an extra one. Guild skill, the extra CTG, and a one-sided war deck that they talked about during the Calpheon Ball. I don't think too many people are going to be using this one, at least early on, maybe later when points are just stacking. But yeah, so we talked about how we have 5 guild bosses every week. I believe there are 2 extra ones you could get later on. And I don't think anyone knows how much silver it actually gives. Each boss is probably 1 billion, and it takes less than 5 minutes each. So we'll see how much silver those 2 new ones give, and if it's actually worth doing for people or guilds who aren't, getting all the PvP rewards and everything. So yeah, it's one of those things that I think it's cool. It encourages more participation with your guild as a collective. I'm not sure what that's going to mean for, a lot of the smaller guilds. Are they going to merge, or are they going to alliance with others? Or I don't think alliancing actually affects individual guilds. It's still separate, but we're probably going to want to see more guilds do things more guilds want to be alone and have 100 members collecting points versus, 275 guild alliances. But who knows what will happen. I have a feeling in the future, Pearl Abyss is probably just going to add some more stuff on how to obtain. They're probably going to tweak these, add more things. They're going to realize that it's actually pretty hard for your average guild to, get maxed out points, and because a lot of the high value ones are strictly for like PvP guilds, which I guess they want people to do. And also how you can see the usage is like if people log in, you just get a bunch of stuff and get points for logging in, doing guild missions. So it encourages that, which I think is a good thing. People actually doing stuff instead of fishing in the game. So yeah, with that said, that's all I wanted to talk about. What do you guys think of the whole guild fame thing? I think it's overall a good thing. It requires people to actually not necessarily be social, but actually do things in the guild, which is one thing I've noticed playing this game over the many years and being in different guilds is there are people that like they burn out of the game and just go fishing, which I don't think there's a problem with that. But I think people who actively play the game and people who do things should get like more rewarded and everything. So overall, it's a good change. What is your guild gonna do about all this? Are you gonna start doing node wars, a blue battlefield? I'm just curious to see, has your guild like restructured and everything to see what's gonna happen in the future. Anyway, with that said, that's all I wanted to talk about. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about that's also with this patch, and you know, next week is also a big week. We got new accessories and everything. So yeah, make sure to check out the events and everything. A lot of cool stuff to talk about. We're going to be making more videos. So if you're new, hit that subscribe button. Would love to see you come back. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Peace.